Hey everybody, and welcome back to the beauty chapter. So today I'm doing a video all about how to up your Insta-Game. Yes, I just said Insta-Game. So how to upgrade your Instagram feed, how I do my Instagram feed, tips that I've gotten from people that I know that I love their Instagram feeds as well. So I'm going to kind of give you my tips and kind of show you how I edit my photos and how I kind of make my feed. I've had a lot of people message me, a lot of my friends send me their photos to edit for them for their Instagram feeds and kind of ask, or they'll just tell me like, oh my gosh, I love your feed, or I really wish like I had a feed that looked like that, or whatever. So let me just start by saying in no way, shape, or form do I think my feed is like amazing. It's how I like it and exactly what I love, and I really like how I updated and redid kind of like how I post on Instagram and what I post, and I have to attribute it a lot to other Instagrammers that I follow or my friends and kind of what's like inspiring me lately and what I want to project on others as far as what I want my Instagram feed to look like. I also am somebody who wants to go into maybe a social media position in the future. I would love, like a dream job, to be like a social media manager, content creator for a brand or a company or whatever. So for me, I think making sure my feed looks good is really important to the kind of career that I want to have eventually. So yeah, just remember, you don't have to curate your Instagram feed for anyone else other than yourself, and it should be what you like and what you want in your feed. So I'm going to go through a few of my tips, and then I'm going to show you kind of how I edit my photos. I'm not going to give away all my secrets on how I do it, but I'm going to give you a lot on kind of how I decide what to do. So my first tip is to, I have them written down on a little pad here so I don't forget. My first tip is to find what inspires you. So by that I mean, look on Instagram, search, go 10, 100 profiles deep in something that you love their feed, or you love the stuff that they post or what they put out there, or what message they're trying to portray through their own Instagram feed, whether it's a brand, it's a food Instagram, it's a specific blogger, a fashion stylist, whoever it may be. Look at different people's feeds and figure out what you like and kind of what you think would resemble what you would want in your own feeds. So I just wrote down a couple different like Instagrams off the top of my head that I know that I always like flag content on, that I'm like, ooh, I like this, or I love their feed. I love Anthropologie's Instagram, the Style Label, if you follow them, I'll have them all like kind of coming up here linking their handles. Bottega Louie, which is a macaroon, like a little dessert place that I visited in California. I follow all different things: food, people, stylists, brands, companies, stores, everything, and these are just some of the ones that kind of inspire the stuff that I like. So Bottega Louie's one called Fashion Dreams with 2 Z's, love them, I love their feed. Another one, Into the Gloss, which is an online, I would say, website that started off as a blog, and it's all like beauty and lifestyle related. So Into the Gloss's Instagram is really great, and I also love Song of Style, which is Ami Song. She's a fashion, I would say she's more of a fashion and beauty kind of person. She has her own book out that is actually about how to make your Instagram feed what you want. So make sure you're following what inspires you, especially because what you choose to follow nowadays with all the new Instagram updates, you're not even seeing your whole feed in chronological order. If you've noticed, you see Instagram posts from sometimes a few weeks back, a few days back. It's not in chronological order anymore. So you only see about 30% of what the accounts are that you follow, so you don't get to see everything. So make sure that what you are following on Instagram is stuff that you want to inspire you on your feed and what you want to see. So my second tip, this would be 4, but second tip is find what apps and filters that you love. Personally, I use, I would say, a bunch of different apps, which I'll get into later in this video. I use several different apps. I could probably name them on one hand, which I use, but make sure you find what you like and kind of have a theme going. There's this word that everybody says nowadays called aesthetic. Oh, my aesthetic is great. Oh, I love my aesthetic, whatever. what they mean by that is their grid as a whole, they kind of want everything to go seamlessly together and look like a grid and not just one photo at a time. With that word aesthetic, make sure that if you use filters on your photos, that you kind of use like the same filter or filters every time you post a photo, so that as a whole your entire feed, you know, coincides and works together. My third tip is to look at your layout. Layout is so important, and I use different apps, which I will also tell you about, to lay out my photos in my grid. And by grid, it's like the 3x3 photos that you see when you go to somebody's profile. You don't just see one photo, you see like 9 photos at a time. And then you scroll and you see more and more and more. So make sure that you're prioritizing your layout if this is something that is important to you and you want your feed to aesthetically be very pleasing. You want to plan out where you put your photos and making sure that you're not posting 3 selfies in a row or 2 selfies in a row, and you're kind of spreading everything out so that you have a variety of different photos that are on your Instagram. The fourth tip is your grid is important, which kind of goes off of the last tip. Your grid is so important, and when people look at your profile before following you, if your profile is public, they're going to see all of the photos that you've posted and not just each individual one. You want it to be pleasing to the eye, you want all of them to look really nice, and you want to make sure it looks organized and not just all over the place, because sometimes I get turned away if someone's feed is just so filled with like just quotes or just, you know, a ton of different things that just don't really go together, and it kind of hurts my eyes a bit. So I tend to actually not follow people that I don't, either if I'm not friends with them. Most of my friends, I don't really care what their grid looks like. I just like seeing what's going on in their lives. But for other people that I don't know and I'm following them for either inspiration or just for, you know, feed inspiration, I will not follow somebody if I don't like their overall grid. So grid is important. Last tip, number 5, is to like what's important to you. And by liking, I mean when you hit that little heart button on a photo, make sure it's something that you like, because that's how Instagram curates what it's going to keep putting on your feed. So if you notice, if you like a picture of a cookie, you're going to start getting random pictures of cookies or other food on your feed, because there's this smart technology called the internet that somehow now I guess has an algorithm that when you like certain things, it's going to keep showing you similar things on your feed. For instance, if you ever go on a website and look at a pair of shoes, and then you go on other websites and whatever, if you've ever noticed and get really freaked out because on the side it'll have an advertisement for those shoes that you were just looking at, and it's really creepy sometimes. You think someone's stalking your life. That's what happens with Instagram. So whatever you like is what's going to show up more on your feed. So make sure you're liking stuff that's important or stuff that you want to keep seeing continuously on your own feed. So now getting into Instagram here. So hopefully I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so you can see kind of, I guess, more of what I'm doing. It's getting very close to my face. So hopefully none of this gets like washed out at all. But this is my own personal Instagram feed, and I'm not super close up to the camera. I don't want to like get too close, but essentially my feed, as you can tell from far away, kind of has a similar color combination going on. It's a lot of like neon pinks, some green in there, and before it was a lot of like pastels here and just kind of stuff. I'm not somebody who's like, oh, I only want to post photos of quotes or just of me and my friends or just of random things. It's kind of everything that I would say embodies me as a person. So I want to put everything on my feed that I personally think reflects who I am as a person. So on my feed, I have like a grid going. This is my grid. So I have like 3x3 photos that you kind of see when you come to my profile. Usually you could see 6 depending on how big my bio is. But I'm kind of show you some tips and tricks on how to edit photos and how to make your grid. I also have my beauty blog, which you're on right now. I have my own grid and feed for that, which is separate from my own personal feed. But this is a bunch of beauty inspired lifestyle photos that kind of like go together, and I try to make sure they all kind of work together. So let me show you kind of what I use. So On my phone, I have different sections of apps that I use. On my main page, because photos are really important to me on my phone, I have a little box here with a bunch of apps in it called photography. So if I click on that, these are my photography apps, and these are the ones that I would say that I use the most. So up here is my #1 used app is VSCO, and that's what I use to do all of my Instagram pictures and how I edit them. I also use Planoly right here, which is really important, and that's how I lay out my grid and what I want and what layout I want them in. And then I have a couple other, another important app that I use often is Snapseed. Snapseed is another photo editing app that I use if I think that if I take a photo, say, of me standing in front of a mural on a wall, and the mural on the wall is like beautifully lit and everything, but I think that I look too dark in front of it. Like I think I just got shadowed or the light wasn't very good. I can click on just myself, use like a special brush tool or a selection tool on Snapseed, and just brighten me in the picture, not the entire picture. So a lot of times people wash out their photos, overexpose them if you don't, just expose the parts of the photo that you want exposed. So those are the three main apps I use. That would be VSCO, Planoly, and Snapseed. Planoly is a free app that you can use, and you get 30 uploads a month, and this is what I use to plan out my feed. So for instance, it shows me my live feed right now. This is what my grid looks like at the moment with all the photos that I have uploaded, and it gives me the option to plan when I want to post a photo. It gives me my statistics on photos, like how do I do with who likes them, how many comments that I get per photo. And then I also get a calendar, which shows me when I plan to schedule, like when I want to post a photo. I don't really use the scheduling option as much. I used to. So if I was like, I want to post this exact photo at 1 p.m. on this day, it gives you a notification, then you go in. It never posts without you knowing. It just tells you that you should post the photo, and then you go into Instagram and you post the photo. And it saves your caption too. So you can caption the photo on this app before you post it. And then when it's time for you to schedule that photo and it's time to post it, it'll give you the caption that you wrote down in addition to the option to post it. So I basically mostly use I really only use Planoly to organize my photos into a grid so that I don't have similar photos next to each other, so it doesn't look weird. So what I'll do is, it says right here, add media to start planning. So if you click on this plus sign here, you can go into your albums, your Dropbox, your Google Drive, free stock photos, all that stuff. So I'll go into albums, and these are all my photos. And then I'll click on an album, and say I wanted to post a picture of my nails that I recently got done. So I'll click on a nail photo, and I'll click add. And then it'll give me the option to crop it, and if I like the way it looks, I'll just say okay, upload, and this will show me what it looks like on my feed. So now I can see what my feed looks like with all the photos I already have, and then if that photo were to be added, what it would look like on my feed. And this won't be uploaded on this picture I just put won't be uploaded on my Instagram. It's just showing it to me uploaded if it were on my grid. As far as VSCO goes, now we're hopping into VSCO real quick. The way that I edit photos on VSCO is I believe VSCO is a free app, and you can upload a ton of photos and edit them. And what you do is you buy packages of different filters. Go into a photo, and I'm gonna edit it. This photo I have of my little selfie. I have all these filters, and they're all numbered with a letter and a number. And say I really want my feed to look really like saturated. The C's, I know from just playing around on VSCO, kind of look more saturated than the other ones. So I'll try C6 and see my photo looks a lot more saturated. You can also make it lighter if you don't want to use the full filter, or you can go full filter and use it the way it comes. So typically, if I liked this filter, sometimes this filter is not going to look good on every single photo that I want to post on my grid. So what I'll do is I'll kind of use ones that are in that same family. So usually they're packaged. So all the C's are packaged. They're in the same kind of family with a similar type of filter. So say I'll use C1, C4, and C5. So if I like this filter on this photo, but I haven't uploaded another photo, but I don't like that filter, I'll usually go between these 3 filters. So if I don't like C1, I'll try C4. If I don't like C4, I'll try C5, and maybe I like that one better. And that's kind of how I filter my photos. I know some people use the exact same filter on every single photo, and I've tried that and I don't think it works because some photos are more exposed than others, and a lot of them are of different subjects, and it just doesn't really work with what I'm doing. Especially if you like a certain filter and you're posting photos with people in them, sometimes the filter doesn't work well with people's skin tone and it makes the photo look kind of weird. So that's how I choose my filters. I usually stay between 3 different filters and I try them out, and then I kind of edit them up or down. If I think it's too much exposure, I lower the exposure. If I think it needs to be more contrast, I'll up the contrast. So I go in and I do little tweaks on the photos. And the last app that I use is Snapseed, and I'll just show you that real quick. So if I go into Snapseed here, this is a really great app. So it says tap anywhere to open a photo. I'll just pick a random photo that I have. Let's see. So I recently uploaded this photo on Instagram here of my new Huda Beauty palette, which is amazing. So anyway, I'll show you how to if I just want this palette to look more blown out and exposed. So I go into tools, a whole list of tools comes up here, and I'll go into selective, and then I click on that part of the photo and I kind of like zoom in like this. So it's just going to use that part. Then up here on the brightness meter, I can move it up or down to make it brighter, or I can lower it to make it darker. So it's not coming up on my camera very well, but that's kind of how I do it if I just want to select one part. I don't use all the tools in Snapseed. I also use sometimes if I want to saturate, if I take a picture of the sunset and I just want the sunset to be super saturated but not the grass, I can use the brush tool and just saturate the sky. And that's something really cool if you just want to do very selective parts of your photos. So there's different tricks that you can get around in different apps. You don't have to use every tool that comes with the app, but you find what tools that you like for different photos and you kind of edit that way. So I hope this video helps you if you want to curate a feed that you personally love. Also remember that having an Instagram feed that you love is all about you and what you like. This is your self-expression. Instagram has become such an art form and people do take it very seriously. I would say that I'm not super serious about it, but I do like and enjoy being creative on my Instagram and making my feed look really pretty. But it's not about getting likes and a ton of followers. It's about creating something that you like where you can store photos that you love or to reflect who you are as a person. So remember, people use it for businesses, for blogs, for websites, for personal modeling profiles, and for your own personal, I want to post photos of whatever I want. So remember, there's no rules to Instagram. You can post whatever that you want and what you want your feed to look like. So I hope if you're somebody who wants to make a feed or a grid that has a specific theming to it, that this video kind of helped you in some way and gave you a little bit of insight on how I do my feed. So I will see you in my next blog post. Bye guys!